The story starts with a tough guy named Lorenzo Vitale. He's driving to his private winery in Sicily with his grandson. When they arrive, Lorenzo tells his grandson to stay in the car. Lorenzo goes inside and is shocked to find many of his helpers have been killed. In the basement, he discovers a retired U.S. Marine named Robert McCall, held at gunpoint by Lorenzo's bodyguards. Robert says Lorenzo has something he shouldn't. After a short talk, Robert kills Lorenzo and the others. As he leaves, he sees Lorenzo's grandson in the car and tells him to stay still. But the boy shoots Robert and runs away. Even though hurt, Robert manages to get on a ferry to the mainland. Later that night, driving on the Amalfi coast, Robert stops and passes out from the gunshot. A local police officer, Gio Bonucci, finds him and takes him to a small town called Altamonte. A doctor named Enzo treats Robert. When Robert wakes up, Enzo tells him Gio saved him. Enzo wonders if Gio saved a good or bad person, but Robert doesn't know how to answer. When Robert tries to leave, Enzo insists he needs time to heal and offers him a place to stay. Enzo takes care of Robert, and after 3 days, he starts walking with a cane. One day, he goes out to explore the town, making sure to avoid the police. Later, he goes to a local cafe and meets Amina, the owner and waitress. Amina serves him coffee, even though he ordered tea. Soon Gio, the police officer, arrives at the cafe with his daughter Gabby. Amina entertains Gabby, while Gio gives Robert his car keys, saying he hasn't checked his bags yet. Gio also mentions that he parked Robert's car behind the station and can get it when he feels better. In the next part, Robert calls the CIA and talks to Agent Emma Collins. He tells her about the winery in Sicily connected to illegal drug trade. After giving the information, he breaks the phone. Emma shares this with other CIA agents. For the next few days, Robert explores the town and meets the locals. He learns about the Camorra, an Italian mafia gang, harassing people for money regularly. One day, he sees a seafood vendor named Angelo being beaten by a high-ranking Camorra member named Marco Quaranta. Marco threatens Angelo to pay up next week. The gang then goes to a big building where Vincent Quaranta, the leader of Camorra and Marco's brother, is trying to force people out. Camorra plans to commercialize the town with new hotels, resorts, and casinos. In a room, an old man in a wheelchair refuses to obey the gang. As a result, they hang him from the window, leaving him to die. On the flip side, Robert and Enzo enjoy a nice dinner together, and Robert offers to help with Enzo's daily tasks. The next day, he goes to the market for Enzo and visits Angelo's shop. Angelo refuses to take money for the groceries, happy that Enzo's friend visited his shop. Meanwhile, Emma and the CIA investigate the winery based on Robert's tip. They find lots of cash and illegal drugs hidden in a room, surprising them. Emma and her colleague, Frank Conroy, decide to dig deeper into the matter. On a rainy day, while Enzo is checking Robert's wound, Robert asks why he didn't involve the ambulance or police. Enzo recalls Robert's question about being good or bad and claims his silence was a sign of being good. The next evening, Robert plans to leave town, but hears a bell and sees people rushing to Angelo's shop. Marco and his gang burned it down because Angelo couldn't make payments. Despite the dominance of the gang, the townspeople can only watch helplessly. Robert helps Angelo clean up the mess. Gio reviews the firebombing video and contacts the Italian police for an inquiry about a van seen outside Angelo's shop. Meanwhile, Robert becomes a part of the community, deepening his friendship with Amina, exploring local cuisine and adapting to the town. The interference of the Camorra troubles him more than expected. One day, Robert spots Emma secretly taking his photo at Amina's cafe. He confronts her, giving vague answers about the winery's real business. Emma is surprised when Robert knows her name. Later, Gio learns his daughter was picked up early from school and finds his family held captive by the Camorra. Marco beats him, threatening his family's life if he interferes again. Robert sees Gio with blood patches on his face, and Enzo explains such incidents are common due to the Camorra, like an incurable cancer. The next day, Robert meets Emma at the church. She confirms Lorenzo Vitale was on Interpol's most wanted list. Intrigued, Emma questions Robert's intentions for choosing her for the tip. Robert diverts the subject, urging Emma to focus on why Sicily was targeted for smuggling. Promising answers soon, that night, Gio and his family are having dinner at a restaurant when Marco and his friends disturb them. Marco forces Gio to help with their boat for illegal business. Robert, also in the restaurant, overhears and asks them to leave Gio's family alone. Marco threatens Robert, but Robert, calmly expressing his liking for the town, warns Marco to take his business elsewhere. When Marco ignores the warning, Robert twists his shoulder, making him scream. Robert orders Marco to leave his gun and exit the restaurant with his men. Angry, Marco plans to return with his henchmen, but Robert drives a van through two of them and fights them off. Marco holds him at knife point, but Robert retaliates, killing Marco. The next morning, Frank informs Emma about a station bombing linked to the cash found at the winery, revealing Camorra funds terrorism. Emma speculates Naples as a drug transit point and starts investigating the Camorra with the Naples police chief's help. The police chief tells Vincent about Emma's investigation. Vincent, mourning Marco's death, cuts off the chief's hand, demanding he focus on finding Marco's killer. Vincent sends the chief to the hospital with his severed hand in an ice bucket. Emma receives a call about the chief's situation and another from Robert's, saving her from Vincent's planned bomb attack. Emma informs Frank about the Camorra. That evening, Vincent takes Gio and his family hostage, threatening them unless Marco's murderer shows up. Robert reveals himself, asking Vincent to release them. Vincent refuses, but the townspeople record the event, forcing the gangsters to retreat. That night, Robert infiltrates Vincent's home, killing his bodyguards. Vincent narrowly escapes, but is forced to take a lethal dose of his own drugs. Robert chases him, and Vincent succumbs to a drug overdose on the Naples road. The next morning, Robert visits Emma at the hospital, dropping a bag of cash and revealing he avenged Greg Dyer's pension loss. Emma realizes Robert is a friend of her parents from the CIA. In the final scene, Altamonte residents celebrate their victory in a football match, with Robert joining the celebration as a local.